Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Okay, you've got a frame. It's going to be a 3x1 by 95 thousandths tube. Okay, a pivot Rixson 117-3/4. Okay, that's a lot of pivot. What's the size of this gate?
It's gonna be,
or door, sorry.
Yeah, it's gonna be like 46 inches wide, roughly. You know, I haven't figured out all the numbers yet, but it's gonna be like a max opening of probably like 42 or something. So you could say somewhere around 4 feet by, I believe it was 8 feet.
Okay, so yeah, pretty large.
Yeah, it's a pretty large door. The whole wall itself being like a 10 foot tall by 9 foot wide, and there's going to be a frame around it and then a door in that frame.
Okay. So, is this an exterior door?
No, it'll be interior.
Okay.
It's like a partition.
Okay, very cool. You're looking for something that's going to be self-closing.
Yeah, I was hoping to have something that would almost dampen the swing maybe or help it self-close. My worry is I don't want to just, put a shaft in a bearing and let it swing freely. It's going to be like at least 350 pounds.
Yeah.
So at that weight, anyone who opens and closes it is going to have to like a baby it. You know what I mean? You can't just push it open and walk through. You got to push it open. You got to go back. You got to close it properly. It's so much weight to just freely swing. It seems like it would be wise to have some kind of dampening control.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know it's a very custom build, so it's hard to find the custom hardware.
No, not really. It's no big deal. And what you're doing here is there's nothing unusual about it. Something that I don't encounter on a weekly basis.
Okay.
So you selected the 117-3/4. Why?
That was just after doing some YouTube videos and kind of trying to see what is minimal, because my frame is only going to be an inch tall. It'll be 3 inches deep, 1 inch tall. So I can't have a big hydraulic unit hidden in my door frame. It must be hidden in the floor or be very minimal to where it just can fit inside of a 1 inch tube frame.
Yeah, so that will present its own unique challenge, but that'll be easy to get around. So that's just, that's a really good start. So, but the 117-3/4 is center hung. Do you need this door to be double acting?
A double acting means to open inwards and outwards?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure yet. That's something I need to speak with the client and verify that they want it double acting.
Yeah, so the 117-3/4 and all other pivots like it, they're what we call center hung. Center hung pivots will double act. In fact, that vertical axis of pivoting will act like a revolving door, actually. If you could actually rotate the entire door through space, you'd be able to have it just turn 360 continuously. So,
I see. It gets hung on the actual center of the width of the door.
No, you can put the vertical axis of pivoting where you like in terms of like the dimension off the jamb according to the template's minimum, and then you can move it out further. You had mentioned 6 to 8 inches off the edge. That's no problem.
Okay.
But a center hung will double act if you want it to double act. It doesn't have to double act. Center hung pivots are very often used in single acting applications like a typical swinging door. But they're used in single swinging applications when the client wants the hardware concealed as much as possible. So is concealing the hardware important?
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
important to
Okay.
keep it hidden, whether we put in the floor, whether I hide it in my frame.
Yeah. Okay. So something center hung is where you're at. Whether it be single acting or double acting, that's a discussion that we can have later. When you use a
Okay.
center hung pivot, you have to give special consideration as to the gap from the jamb to the edge of the door. Your door is going to be 3-inch thick. So that means you're going to have a noticeably large gap between the jamb and the door on both sides. Because envision that 3-inch thick piece moving through space around that vertical axis of pivoting. So what would normally...
that corner will come out.
Yeah, that corner is going to come out and hit the jamb. Now what'll happen, if you walk through aluminum storefront doors that are double acting, you'll notice older ones, the style is radius. You'll look at double acting wood doors like in a restaurant, those styles are radius. If it's single acting, you just bullnose it like you would the top rail of tile in a bathroom. Now you're using steel tube. You're probably not going to buy curved metal and weld it in place. So you'll have to have a large gap. The good news is I can pop all that into AutoCAD and tell you what those dimensions need to be. But that's a design consideration in the sense that you'll have a large gap there. 3 inches by no means excessively large, but it ain't going to be what the template says, because the template's going to tell you to bullnose or round over those edges. So that's a consideration. Right. Now, the 117-3/4 is great. I think you have too much pivot. I think you should be using the 370, which is rated for 500 pounds. But other than that, you're good to go. All we have to determine is making sure it'll all fit into the 1-inch bottom tube, which is actually not 1 inch. It's going to be 1 inch less 95 thousandths that you have to work with. And that's going to help determine your clearance dimension, how much room you're going to be left over from the bottom of that 1-inch face tube down to your floor. So the Rixson 370 would be a better option because it's rated for 500 pounds. If you want something heavier, go for it. I'm not, it's just you're dealing with a different floor prep at that point, and I can't justify asking your owner to spend more money when you don't have the application that requires it, except the fact that you do have a door that's wide and that's large, and you can't go wrong with the 117-3/4. But the application doesn't call out anything, in my opinion, beyond the 370.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. It's overkill. I understand.
I mean, I'm a guy who I believe in overkill because I'm not an engineer. So what choice do I have? Overkill. But we can go to the catalog and it will tell us weight limits. So you're good with a 370. The only thing I'd probably consider doing is a top pivot with a longer pin, so you have greater engagement of the top pin into the 1-inch top channel, the 1-inch. But you'll need to make sure of what the throw of the pin is so that you're not ordering a pin that's too long. But the standard pin I'd have to look at what that is. It might be 3/4, so you might just need to stick with the standard top pivot.
I see. And that strap that goes on the pivot, that strap that bolts to the bottom of the door, I'd probably just probably cut a opening in the door and hide the whole thing inside of the tubing, So it's not just like I'd mortise it even deeper to get that floor really close to the ground.
Yeah.
I'm a welding shop, so I can modify anything I want,
Yeah, I wasn't thinking you were going to surface mount that bottom arm. You'll have to cut rectangles into the top and bottom rails and get that hardware tucked in nice.
Gotcha. Okay. I guess my final question is these center hung pivots. You said it was I just had it open and I closed it. It was like a 270, you said. And this center hung one, 370. The 370 and the 117-3/4 one I sent you as well. These ones don't have any swing control, do they? They just swing freely.
Not at all. So let's talk about that. So you could go with a floor closer. That's going to solve the problem in terms of you're not just going to take the door and push it open and it's going to keep moving. Because that's a massive amount of inertia on that door.
Mm-hmm.
What I would suggest considering is installing an overhead friction holder. So, you know these things. You've encountered them. If you've ever been in a patient room in a hospital and you go into the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
almost always that door has a slide track at the top of it, and it's as if it takes more work to open and close the door. That's by design. That's a friction holder, meaning you can move it, but it's going to take 5 or whatever pounds to actually push and pull the door, because the staff wants to move a door to whatever degree of open and have it stay there without someone intentionally moving it. So you could mortise all of that up into the top rail of your header, into the door. We'd have to make sure that that will work compatibly with the templating of the top pivot. But you could add a piece of hardware like that it will give you, the door is going to generally stay in its position. Unless it's severely out of plumb, the door will probably stay in its position really well. However, you're building something really unusual in the sense of behaving like a normal door.
Right. I mean, this is the story of my life. I'm always doing some crazy custom thing that no hardware works.
Yeah.
So now that friction holder, is that all hidden, or is that something that pops out of the frame of the door and will be visible?
Well, you would see it when the door is open, and you would have to modify that top rail such that the arm that's in the top of the door can slide in and out. So,
okay.
So the best way to understand that would be to look at a template for this hardware, and I shouldn't say the best way to understand it. It's if you were to search my site for the part number 104F as in Foxtrot, and click on the first item. It's a Glenn Johnson overhead friction hold open.
Okay, I see it here. Okay, I understand.
When you click on that, you can get to mounting details, and on page 3 of the document, it will show you page 2 of the document, lower right-hand corner. It'll give you a cross-section of what it needs to look like, depending on whether it's single or double acting. So now you're getting into a situation of really modifying your design to suit the ability that you don't want that door to just move without intent. Like, you don't want an animal to, a dog would push it open, but, you don't want a cat to lean up on there and, get the door to move.
Right. And, I know it's going to be a conference room, so you're going to have multiple people walking in there, like 10 people walking in all at the same time. One guy's going to swing it open because he's got 8-9 people behind him, and then it's going to slam into my frame I just put together. Or someone's going to swing it behind them as they walk out the door. No one's going to handle this thing so carefully, because it's a door. They're going to come in, they're going to come out, and then things are going to swing, and everyone's going to be watch out for the door. I know I'll get a call back saying, "Hey, can we do something about this door? It keeps slamming." So I'd rather just do something now to get it, think ahead for my client, or else, just like you do, you think ahead for your clients, Okay, I'll look into these things. I'll speak with my clients some more, and I think we're going to be able to narrow it down pretty soon.
I really think you need a floor closer. Based on your application, you need a floor closer that's either single or double. Well, your opening's either single or double acting. Like you had mentioned, the BTF 80. You need a floor closer, in my opinion, that is hold open, so that someone can push the door open and it will slowly close. Someone can push the door open and hold it open until the 10th person comes in and yanks it off the hold open point, and it will close. I think that's the way to go. So. Okay,
and I guess my biggest worry, because the pivot application is unique, can I set the floor closer, 8 inches in from the edge, or will it not? Will that reduce I guess if it has a weight limit of 500 and I bring it in 8 inches in from the edge, should I get a heavier duty unit? That's only what I would assume, but I don't know.
I actually think I believe your thinking should come from the opposite approach, the opposite direction. The further you move that towards the center, the better off the closer is at doing its job.
Oh, okay.
So it's not very much that you're moving it over, but you're moving it over 100% of what the template will call out. So it's, you know, I would stick with Rixson because in my opinion and the opinion of my peers, they're best in class for floor closers. We would have to study all of the templates to make sure that we get one that's going to sit in that petite area that you're working in. Dorma's great, but they're
sure. I just went with something that Google popped up. I'll be honest. Yeah. There's so much out there. That's why I decided to write you guys.
Yeah. So I think the bottom line is you determine how your client wants the door to behave, and hopefully you're applauded for thinking down the road, because it will be your problem at some point, and it has to be addressed now, because once you cut the steel, it's going to be a heavy modification to change things, or it's going to be a new door. And then once you have directive from your client, we can hone in on an actual cut sheet of a piece of hardware.
Perfect. Okay. I'll figure out. So yeah, double acting or single acting, that's the biggest question, I believe.
And yes, and whether or not it's self-closing.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah. And then, you know what you should also do is get a hardware set from your client, everything that should be on the door hardware-wise, so that we can make sure it all works together. If it's self-closing, a roller latch isn't going to be the idea. So we'll have to think about if security is required over this, how that's going to be accomplished. And then again, when it comes to the margins in terms of you building it, I'm proficient in AutoCAD to do this job. So,
I usually use AutoCAD to figure out my spacing depending on the depth of door. So that's not an issue.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you though. Okay. Yeah. I guess, if it's single acting or double. Okay. Well, I'll figure something out and, I'll get back to you, and hopefully we can hone in on the whole hardware set. Yeah, you're right. How the single latch okay. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Thank you for calling, and keep me close on this. Let me know how it goes.
Okay. You have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.